This has got to be the spiciest, juiciest, drama-filled commitment ceremony we've had yet. Them have yet. It cuts to Polly and Adam, and it's a very, very different dynamic in that kitchen. The retreat not being what you thought. It's like, I thought there'd be birds chirping and us going for walks and stuff, and instead, we just sat here getting drained out by Hannah to the morning, to the afternoon, to the good night. This is probably the best week that I think I've ever seen from both of them. Yeah, this whole time that she's like baiting him up and telling the whole world about his dirty slambo ass. BS, yeah, because these guys have been lip-syncing. Bless Mel. She's like, pardon? We're a dirty liar, yeah? I'm just like, oh, that kissing of the teeth there. Yo, she kissed her teeth so sweet. So sweet. Wagwan people thems. I don't know whether one of the producers or someone has like maybe tapped into my reactions and been like, yeah, like Luke's enjoying these episodes a bit too much, yeah, but let's just throw in a bit more. In fact, not even a bit more. Let's just put some gasoline, yeah, some big old flammable gas up in that commitment ceremony, because this has got to be the spiciest, juiciest, drama-filled commitment ceremony we've had yet. Them have yet. We have yet. Firstly, I can also say as well, thank you very much for everyone who is watching along with me, and all your comments and stuff. It's been really, really interesting just hearing people's perspectives and what some really, really, really awesome views and stuff, and has given me something to think about, as well as validating some of the things that I thought anyway. So yeah, thank you for that. But yeah, episode 21. So this is the episode after the retreat. So they're all getting ready to come to the commitment ceremony. And it's really interesting that while some people have been like, oh my God, the retreat was great. And, Kieran and Christina are good. Alex and Holly look like they're good. And, they're all talking about how, they feel like the retreat's been really good for healing them. Holly's now getting to the real him, and he looks like this really just calm guy. I mean, which I haven't seen this whole season really. So at that point, I was like, this is really like, this is some good going. Okay, Alex and Holly. All right. Sasha and Ross, they're doing all the sign language and learning I love you and stuff. They're in a really good space. Ryan and Shannon, again, also in a really good space as well, after all of that drama. Then it cuts to Polly and I don't know why I'm laughing because it's not funny, but it cuts to Polly and Adam, and it's a very, very different dynamic in that kitchen. And I think we've all probably been in those situations, yeah, where like you're both present physically, but no one ain't talking to no one because people vex. And I think they start trying to talk about it, and again they get back into this kind of cyclical conversation about, well, she doesn't really get, she actually apologizes. She's like, I know, I am sorry for saying the wrong thing, I effed up. But at the end of the day, like there's so many things that you have said that like realistically you haven't got room to be still angry about it. And he's like, yeah, but it was disrespectful. I felt disrespected in front of everybody. I'm just not over that. It wasn't a small little thing. And I'm a bit on the fence with how I feel about this Adam and Polly situation, right? Because I do kind of feel like that when someone has offered you grace, if you are in a relationship with someone that you care about, that you also offer them the same grace, because it's not about necessarily, oh well, well, I've done all this stuff for you, why can't you do anything for me? But I know that if I've been in a relationship and I can see that someone has done something for me, that I'm more likely to be like, do you know what? Do you know what I mean? Like, because everyone should be offered grace to some degree. So even though I don't rate Polly, still don't rate Polly. Don't rate Polly. Even though I don't rate her, I do think that she has got some semblance of a point here. But I also appreciate that for where they're at in the relationship at this current moment in time, for her to turn around and say, do you know what, yeah, actually I would twist you out. What have we been doing here then? Like if you're not even backing this and you're not backing me, what on earth has the last 3 to 4 weeks been for? So I can kind of see why he's vexed. But I do think she also had a little bit of a point. But again, it's harder for me to kind of give her anything because I just do not rate Polly. Hannah and Stephen, cuts to them, and she's dolling herself up and getting herself ready and stuff. She looks really nice, I think. She's talking about the fact that she's even despite how terrible it's been with Stephen, and like how she really would, how realistically there's no hope. It's she's talking like, I have still kept trying. I mean, like, I haven't left. Like, each day that I've been here, I've wanted to try. It'd be great to kind of at least get something. I think something could be worked on the marriage. I mean, it's obvious how much she feels about it because she starts crying, and I felt really bad for her in that moment because I was like, do you know what, like, it's it's got to be really difficult to know that when someone just wants nothing to do with, like, nothing to do with you. And if she's like me, like, I'm a people pleaser, but everybody likes to be liked, don't they? And when you're not liked by someone, and for something that you don't really, you can't really understand, but you try, you just go into fix it mode, and you can't fix everything, unfortunately. And it looks as though that she can't fix this, so she's upset about that. Orson and Rochelle, and I mean, Orson's getting ready like he's going to the Hunger Games. You know what I mean? Like, he's got some next piece of denim collar over this way. I mean, it's different. I like it. It's different. And that's one thing I said about Orson this whole way, is that he's popped some styles in this show that I'm like, okay, that's definitely off the designer rack. All right then, okay then, bro. Yeah, but Rochelle is just absolutely done. She's just like, I'm just so done. I'm just so done. She's aware that something's been brewing with Orson and Hannah as well. So I think she's really keen to get into that commitment ceremony and get it all out there. Do you know what I mean? Get it all out there. She's very much like, I pity the fool. I actually pity him. Yeah, I pity the fool. And it's like, rah, man, this is already not looking great. Oh, and just before that as well, Luke and Amy are talking, and yeah, Luke's looking quite like frustrated. Do you know what I mean? He's talking about the retreat not being what he thought. He's like, I thought there'd be birds chirping and us going for walks and stuff, and instead, we just sat here getting drained out by Hannah. Do you know what I mean? Like, every minute we're getting drained out by their drama. To the morning, to the afternoon, to the good night. Sorry. He did make me laugh when he said that. To the good night. So yeah, so they get to the commitment ceremony. First couple that went up was Alex and Holly, I think. They were really good. Like, this is probably the best week that I think I've ever seen from both of them. Their body language was really comfortable. They were like melting into each other and stuff, and like everything about their facial expressions was just so calm and pleasant. Like, they were both talking about how they really understand each other, that the retreat was really good for them, how she's been able to kind of really just open up about some of her traumas and stuff, and he was just there for her, and listened to her, and she was like, look, I just feel like everything now has just is just almost perfect, and it was nice to see him say, look, she felt, I told her that she could talk to me, and it's nice to see that she can, and that he's always got her back and stuff. And when they got to the decision, she was like, I'm staying, because for me, it's, we've got the jigsaw puzzle set up now. It's just about keeping it keeping it like that, just keeping it going the exact way that we need to. And I just thought that was really awesome, because again, they've had so many like trials and tribulations in terms of their tumultuous relationship. Like, that's really cool that you're actually in a position where you can actually say good stuff. So they've both written stay. Then it goes to Ryan and Shannon, and they explain. So actually, we get a bit more context about their fight. So it wasn't just the fact that or that Ryan thought that she was keeping something away from him about Girls' Day, but I think it was that he ended up saying something like, I'm done, and as in like, I'm done with the conversation. She took that to mean that he was done with the relationship, which I guess triggered her from like past relationship trauma and stuff. So she packed up her bags and went about her business, like, safe, I'm gone then. And he was just like, when I woke up, she wasn't there, which I can imagine would have been really like, I think for both perspectives really, like, if for her, when someone goes, I'm done, like, because people do this in conversations, don't they? They do it in arguments and stuff. Some people will say, oh, I'm through, it's over, and it's like, there's only so many of those you can do. I mean, for me personally, the minute I hear that one time, I'm like, if you can threaten the relationship even once like that, I'm not even here for it, because I'm not going to be hanging on by some kind of like thread, for the, what did they mean it this time? Did they not mean it this time? Don't ever put the relationship on the line like that unless you actually mean it, because if you do that, I'm going to take that to mean that it's done. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'm not doing no kind of like, oh, but in the morning, now calm down. No. You said it's done. It's done. So I can understand from her perspective of thinking that's what he meant. His perspective, I would have been like, you've just upped and left. after an argument, you know, that would take me, like, I don't know, all that comfortability that would have built up it would have taken me straight back, like several steps. So, but it seemed to be that they were good. They spoke about it. It's fine. Paul obviously asks Ryan about, you know, him being agitated at the dinner party, and then he explains what Holly told him. Holly, you know, it's really interesting, yeah, which I'll come to in a minute. But Holly basically baits up Stephen and is like, oh, Stephen got to the dinner party and he basically asked me if Ryan doesn't turn up, that he would be putting it, he'd be sticking it on and Shannon. And what was really interesting, yeah, this whole time that she's like baiting him up and telling the whole world about his dirty, dirty slambo ass, he just sat there just being like doing his best Harold Bishop. I'm like, why are you shaking your head though? Then he's like, oh, you know, like, I definitely didn't say that yet, because I don't even use words like stick it on. I would never say that. And I'm just like, do you think the lexicon choice that you've got here is gonna save you from what everyone knows of you to be around this room? But then Ryan's like, just admit it. Just admit it. Just admit it. You're a sly guy, yeah. You're sly. You're sly. And he's like, mate. Listen, yeah, I would have told you, like, that. My whole thing was I would have come to you, and it's like, but because I don't think people remember, yeah, that these things are recorded. So I don't know whether it's a case of, I learned this thing in psychology once, that sometimes what people do is they will rewrite history, and then unbeknownst to them, because they have rewritten history and have told that version of history so often, that their belief is genuinely written version. And I don't know whether he's just told himself that many times that he's a good guy. He's a good guy that did a good thing and would only have moved to his friend's wife if his friend had been there and he could tell him. That's, you know, it's like, bro, he wasn't going to be there. Like, your whole point about, like, Shannon staying with Stephen, yeah, there was no point where you just like, well, let me go and shoot him a text message, or let me go. There was nothing like that. So you are a liar, sir. But it's so good because they just called it out, and Ryan was having none of it. It's just like, whatever. Paul offered Stephen the chance to say something, and Ryan was like, I'm not even interested, Paul. So can we bring this back to this here, please? Because whatever. Like, I rated that. Ryan, because Ryan couldn't even wait to give listen, do you want the decision? I'm ready. And I think what made them stronger, I think, is knowing that, like, Shannon is obviously so desirable, but I think it made him, I guess, even more assured about how he feels about her, and her about him as well. And because she was saying even from the beginning, like, what made him think, yeah, like, what did he think I was gonna say to him? Like, yeah, come, Stephen. Do you know what I mean? She's like, I don't know what made him think he could even shoot a shot with me anyway. It's always been you. It's always going to be you. So it was really nice to kind of see Stephen kind of, you know, squirming and attempting to. There's nothing worse, yeah, than when someone, like, I find it quite weaselly. It always reminds me of, like, Peter Pettigrew. Do you know what I mean? Like, if anyone, any Harry Potter fans out there, like, just this weaselly, like rat, like, just, you've been caught out. The best thing you could do right now is just own it. You've already done it on 4K. We've already seen you. He's gonna see it too. So why not just own it and say, you know what, yeah, like, I wouldn't think about you, mate. And to be honest, it was a stupid thing to do. I don't know why I did it. But no, I was like, no, mate, like, I would have told you, and anyway, then it goes to Luke and Amy, I think. Even the way they kind of walk in is definitely not the same happy, bouncy, unproblematic Lucy and Amy that I'm used to seeing. Do you know what I mean? And, you know, they start talking on the sofa, and Luke ain't pulling no punches, man. He's just like, you know, everything about the retreat, we thought it was going to be sick, and then we ended up babysitting her over there. And obviously Hannah's just like, Amy's like, yeah, but look, we weren't just babysitting, do you know what I mean? Like, we were supporting Hannah. And he's like, yes, we were, to be fair. And, you know, what was also good about it is that I got to see Amy's, like, nurturing side and how much she cares and stuff, which, you know, was actually lovely to see. It's like, but then, you know, it was after Girls' Day and stuff. So it turns out that Amy turned around and said that she thought that Nathan was the sexiest person. And you could kind of see that like his ego had been definitely bruised, and I think his feelings had been hurt as well. So not just because ego sounds like it's unfair. I think his feelings were hurt. He's like, so is it because Nathan with the great jackets and stuff, and he dresses really good, and it's like, bless him, he's genuinely like upset here because she's like, it's just a game, like it's just a game. And I don't think she could appreciate why that would have upset him. He's like, you are the most beautiful and sexiest woman here for me, is why I chose you. And I think, like Charlene said, like, do you think this is like feelings of jealousy? And he was like, yeah, I guess it could be, yeah. And he just looked so cute and upset. Like, I was like, oh, bless him. So I think, yeah, I think the advice for them just to have fun this week, I think, is a good one. The both right stay. I personally understand why he would be upset. Like, and sometimes, like I said before, like when you're in a relationship and stuff, yeah, sometimes the things that you get upset about are a little bit irrational. Like, he might look back on this and be like, "Cha, it was a real minor," but at the moment, he's just like, my wife don't think I'm the most sexy. Do you know what I mean? And I can understand why that would be hurtful to him, but yeah, I don't think it's that deep. I think they're gonna be fine. Polly and Adam, I think it is. I think it goes to them. And I was really kind of disappointed in how the experts kind of dealt with this, really, because they asked him how the week was, and Adam was like, look, yeah, we had an argument, basically explained why, with the whole twist thing, and how it made him feel, like made him feel betrayed. Polly made the same point again about, but I've been sat here, like, these are because I think they said to her, well, what were the reasons that you would twist for Stephen? And she's like, because he's more emotionally available, like, he's not afraid to say how he feels and what he thinks about, in front of other people, he's not ashamed, there's lots more affection and stuff. And then what did come out of that conversation, which I thought was interesting, was that she was saying that, like, because I just thought the affection and stuff was outdoors, because he's like, I'm not really a PDA kind of person. And I was like, well, I can get that, because I'm not really all touchy-feely, let me just, stick my tongue all over your face and when we sat down having, brunch. But she said that it's not, but it's even when we're indoors. Even when we're indoors. And he's like, yeah, but I'll give you a kiss and stuff. Yeah, on the cheek. And I thought, oh, well, that's a bit interesting, isn't it? Because it's now not just a case of, oh, I don't want to show affection outside of the house or, in front of the people. You're not even doing it inside. So that would also make me feel a little bit like insecure, I think, as to, well, why you're not showing me that kind of affection. Like, sex is only one type of intimate action. Do you know what I mean? So I think in that regard, again, she has got a bit of a point. Again, it's just really hard to like separate how I feel about her and her logical points, but I think there is a logical point there to be made. And they didn't really address any of her behaviour at the dinner party towards Hannah either, which I thought was quite interesting. But again, we'll come back to that. Either way, they both wrote stay. So Sasha and Ross came in strong, again, really happy, vibing. Nothing's really changed in that regard, really. They're just happy. The retreat's been good for them. They kind of stay out of all the drama. She hates the countryside. She said it was like hell for her. I don't think that's something that like every single Warsaw person thinks, by the way, because there's not wrong a bit of greenery. Do you know what I mean? Maybe not living there, but like for a nice little treat. Do you know what I mean? Nice little weekend away, like some nice little walks and stuff, and eat at some kind of like local, like, rural little cafe type of thing, and eat like the strawberries that have been picked today. Yeah, it's lovely, man. The babbling brook, like all that kind of stuff, I think is great. Anyway, so they've had a great time though, in regards to them, and they're both saying how much they love each other. And she actually drops the bar, like, I just want to spend the rest of my life with you, guys. I don't want to do Esila here yet, but I feel like we may need to go and get our hats for this one. Do you know what I mean? Like, well, this is how I felt at the time. We haven't finished the episode yet. So at the time, I was like, nah, these guys are absolutely, like, wow, that's amazing. Really, really cute. And they're both right stay. Then it goes to, I think it's Nathan and Lacey, actually, after that. So Nathan and Lacey, they're pretty good. Lacey's got an issue in that, Nathan's basically said that, like, he's not going to use the words "I love you" until after he's kind of like seen what the distance has been like after the experiment, and to make sure that it works and stuff. She's like, I just feel like I'm getting kind of half of you then, because if you're not going to say it, like until that point, does that mean up until that point I'm only gonna get like a bit of you? And he's just like, I just think it's a really important thing to say, and I don't want to get out of this, and then suddenly the distance is too much, and then it's like, what was the point in that? And Paul's like, yeah, but there's a difference between obviously saying it and obviously your actions behind your feeling. And it's like, and the actions behind the feeling are way more important. And actually, you're actually exhibiting those already, because you guys are talking about where the distance would be. Nathan's talking about relocating if you can find the work and stuff. Lace is saying that like she'd do something similar as long as she can be close to her fajita loving mother. But I get that as well. So, they're both kind of showing signs of the love. But I rate Paul for what he's saying. Is like, you're trying to protect yourself, which makes sense. It's like, but when it comes to love, man, you can't tiptoe around it. You've got to get deep and wade in the depths of the love. So I can understand his hesitancy, but also at the same time, like, you're kind of doing it anyway. So, but yeah, they both agreed to stay, Kieran and Christina. And again, they've had a really good retreat as well. Like, they've really, really enjoyed themselves there. Although her PMDD did really hit and stuff. And she's really kind of like, it's really interesting to me. I have never heard of this condition before. And as a guy in particular, there were so many aspects of that like, even without it being PMDD, where you I don't know, it always seems like a little bit of just foreign territory, because it's just something that I've obviously never experienced. So I can only imagine what it must be like to go into that, like, with this severe condition that she has, and what that must be like for Kieran as your partner trying to support you with it. And she gets very emotional about how horrible it is, and how you can see it's affecting the two of them. And then they start talking about the intimacy, because they're still not been able to be intimate, and she feels rejected by it. And Mel's like, because it's still that cold soul. And he's like, yeah, it's nearly gone. It's nearly gone. Because before all of that, Kieran's like, look, I'm there for her. I empathize with her so much and stuff. Like, I've cried with her because of how upset she can get because of it. But I'm very conscious about what I say, because you never know what it is that's going to set her off because of it. When she talks then about the intimacy and stuff, and she's like, I just feel rejected. So Mel's like, I'm going to ask you a very honest question now, Kieran. Is the lack of intimacy solely down to the cold sore? And he's like, I'm going to be honest. No, no, I can't say it's solely down to that. So I'm not going to say that. It's not solely down to that. So Mel's like, so what is going on then? What would you like to say to Christina right now? And bless him, he's like, look, this is going to be really hard for you to hear, Christina, but I have doubts about my ability to sustain a relationship with someone that has PMDD. And it really just hit her hard. It really just hit her hard. And she's like, I get it, and it's fine. It's nothing I haven't heard before. And this is the reason why I kind of like prepare myself for the... Oh, it's making me emotional now, I think. Before I prepare myself for the worst. And it's just really sad. It was just really sad to see her say that, because she's like, at the end of the day, he's like, look, I'm not rejecting you. I'm not saying that I don't want to be with you. I just don't know. I just got my doubts about whether... She's like, look, that's fine to have doubts. She's like, but the thing is, it's not going to change, because I've got this for life. And it just makes you think, doesn't it, about all those people they've just got so much love to give, man, and they've got something, whether it's a personality disorder, some kind of mental health issue, or some kind of physical, debilitating thing, right, that would make you go, well, I don't know what, actually, maybe not. But I think, to Kieran's credit, like, he wasn't saying, nah. Do you know what I mean? I think he was just saying how difficult it is, which it must be. Again, I've never been in that situation, but how difficult it is, and him not wanting to hurt her or lie to himself about his ability to sustain it. But the line that he dropped, I thought was so poignant. We're just like, yo, I'll try my hardest till my bones are dust. And I'm like, wow. And all you can ask is someone to do their best, right? No one knows the future. In the same way that Paul was talking to Polly about, you wanting to fall in love with his potential, yeah? You might as well just walk now. put leave on the something and call it a day, because you can never fall in love with someone's potential. I think this is where a lot of us go wrong. A lot of us, men, women, like, I think, regardless of who it is, I think we've all fallen guilty of, the future plans and what we think is coming, which probably makes a breakup even more like earth shatteringly awful, because you've had all these things and all this potential that's built up in your head about what you're going to do and where you're going to go and how it's going to be, and then suddenly it's ripped from underneath your feet. So I think the same thing for Christina and Kieran. Like, the potential is that there's a great and I think they even said, like, there's a great potential for a good relationship here, but at the same time she can't fall in love with that, because who knows. And I think it's a really difficult one for her, because the longer they stay together, the longer that the more that she's going to have built up what she hopes will be their future. But I think it was really brave, like Mel said, to answer that question so honestly and say, do you know what, this is how I feel about it. And I don't think many people, Stephen, would have been that honest, unless it suited him to do so. Do you know what I mean? Like, but to to potentially face the wrath of all the judgmental people that would say, you're gonna maybe leave this person, how this can do, like, I think it took a lot for him, to be honest. So he gets my respect for that. He gets a lot of respect and rating for that from me. Casper and Emma, and again, they're both very honest. Like, he makes it really really clear that, yeah, they had a kiss and stuff, and actually she's a damn good kisser, actually. And I was like, oh, go on, Helen. But what he then does say is that actually, she made some comment about, oh, let's just stay next week and we can basically bang all week. And it's just like, it just wasn't attractive. And this is the thing, right? Like, because, and again, I trust that, we're all grown here. I think we've all probably been accosted by people that think that, the best way to kind of like turning me on, you're turning me on, like, it's to be all like vulgar and like, this is what I'm gonna do to you. I'm gonna twist you up and bend you, and I'm gonna wait for you to bend when I do. And it's like, listen, like, and it's not to say that those conversations don't have their space and their time, like, depending on who it is, when it is, and how I'm feeling. But for someone who is just building something with that person too much too soon, I can absolutely understand why that would just make you go, everything gone up. Because it's just like, I'm just about getting to grips with, like, letting you put your lips to mind. I mean, never mind, like, all kinds of you just need to back up, Helen. You need to back it up. Back it on all the way up. So I could understand why he's a bit like, yeah, I recoiled, it's not for me. But what I do rate him for, though, is that he wrote stay, because she was very much like, I really hope that, like, I can hear you, I heard what you've said. What I should have said was, there's room for us to kind of, investigate and, explore our intimacy. But obviously I'd had a wine. She needs to get a t-shirt made at this point. Yeah, love a wine, love a crisp. I had a wine and I wanted a wine. Oh, I made myself laugh. But yeah, so I think she took that on board, and I think she was really hoping that he would stay. But what I rate him for is that not only did he very much articulate how happy he was to write leave, like, I felt good about it. Like, it really felt good to write leave. But and to be honest with that, but then he was like, but I'm gonna stay, because I think there's more strides for us to come, and I think it's fair for us to stay. And did anyone notice he put XO as well? Did anyone notice that? Casper, for Helen, for Emma. That's big. That is big. I think Hannah and Stephen were before all of these, actually. I think I've missed them out because they did them so early, but I'm leaving them till last because, listen, I don't know these people, right? And I'm very, very conscious that I don't want to ever have a channel where I'm just constantly bashing on someone. So even Polly, yeah, I'm sure that she's got lovely friends and lovely family. When she comes out of this, I'm sure that she'll, reflect and, do all the bits that are necessary to not be a mean person. Do you know what I mean? That's the hope, that's the dream, right? But I think, you've got to call something out when you see it. You've got to. Otherwise, what's the point of having a reaction channel otherwise? So the same thing with Stephen. Like, I don't want to feel as though that I'm just unduly bashing someone, but I can't understand and fathom how his actions and his behavior to him that he doesn't recognize. Like, so he gets on the sofa and stuff, and Paul's like, so let's go back to where we were the last time that you were on the couch. So the last thing that you said to us was you both wrote leave. Sorry, you wrote leave, she wrote stay. You know the rules. So you're gonna stop and work on your marriage. So did you do that? And he's like, no. And he's like, why not? And he's like, because as soon as we left, she's holding hands with Orson in an attempt to kind of get me jealous and stuff. And just thought, there's that disrespect again. So my walls went straight up. And I rated Hannah so much because she was like, you can't use that to say that that was the reason why you didn't try, because you'd already checked out the marriage way before then. Way before then. You know what I mean? You harboured it, you stewed on it, you came in and then you dropped it on like a bomb to be like, oh yeah, by the way, I don't like you and that's why I'm not staying with you. And I think that was such a fair point in which he didn't really have a recourse or any kind of justification for it. He was just like, why would I want to try with someone like this? You know what I mean? Like, 'cause then I'm hearing that like she's been trying it on with all these other men and stuff and all these other husbands. That isn't someone that I want to make any kind of attempt to try with. So then the experts then ask the rest of the crew, like, well, what was the case? That is how you all felt. Shannon was like, well, yeah, me and Hannah spoke about it, and she was very flirty with Ryan. Holly's nodding, and obviously Polly was happy to take centre stage and was like, look, at the end of the day, I just voiced that I didn't think what she was doing was appropriate, that I didn't think she handled herself correctly, and then she decided to get lippy with someone else. So I just told her and called a spade a spade. Now look, I have backed Hannah this whole time. Not this whole time, but definitely the last episode and episode before that. And what I will say, upon reflection, right, is I still don't believe that she had the intention of wanting to sleep with everybody's man. I don't believe that. I really don't. I know girls like her. I've got girls like her in my friendship circle who are, they're very boisterous. Like, some girls don't like them because they think all I want to do is jump on different man. And actually, it's not the case at all. They just get on better with dudes. So I'm still choosing to believe that, because I feel like if it was a greater sense of what they're trying to portray, there'd be even more overt. There'd be messages. There'd be other stuff that, rather than just doing things that are just so visible to other people, it's just dumb. However, I do think that there is no smoke without some kind of spark or flame, and I think if you've given people enough of a reason to say something, then there's probably something in your behaviour that probably wasn't appropriate. And I think that's probably the key thing. Like, was it appropriate? Whether your intention was that or not, was it appropriate in this sense, where people probably are still very insecure and still learning about people, which she did own. You know what I mean? She did own that. And she owned that on the couch as well. When you've got that many people that are saying something, there is probably something that probably wasn't appropriate, right? After that, they come back to these two. And they're like, right, okay, so irrespective of all of that, yeah, where are you at now? And Hannah's like, look, I still think there'll be something to work with. I've already said sorry for the things that I've done. Like, I had a really great wedding day. There was something really magical about that, and he made me feel amazing, and it was so great. And I feel for that alone, like, I think there'd be something to kind of work with. They ask him the same question, and he's like, look, I can't lie and say that the wedding day wasn't great, and it wasn't special, because it was, which is the first nice thing I've heard him say about her. He actually looked at her. So I think the question was, does that change anything for you, Stephen? No. He's just so done. He's just so incredibly done. There's no space for nothing. He's like, I'm just not here for this. Like, I'm not here for her. They go to the decision and stuff, and he's like, basically like, look, the last time I was in this space, I was like, I'm not quite. I don't know if I'm the man for her. Now I'm like, I don't want to be her man. I don't want to be her. I don't know what she's here for. I don't know what she's here for different reasons. I don't know what those reasons are. But he's like, look, I put leave _ and then she's like, I still think that deep down that Stephen is a good guy. And I think there's some good things about him, and I'm still really grateful for the wedding that we had. I tried. Some marriages don't work, and I guess this hasn't worked. So I think I want to leave this as amicably as I can, and I've written leave. And I just thought in that moment, yeah, like, she's still giving credence to her husband to be like, you know what, like, I'm not gonna try and drag you, because he's like, you know, you basically you're a fraud and you're a waste girl is what he's basically saying. So you couldn't even in that mode be like, you know what, fairs. I mean, this is someone that you've slept with. This is the thing that I just don't understand. Like, how can you have this much disdain for someone and you physically, like, that we're getting too graphic. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, you've been all up in the grill. Do you know what I mean? Like, so how can you just like just hate on her now? Like, she's literally been drowning pigeons on Wednesday. Like, it's not that deep, from what you're aware of, anyway. They then leave. And then I think the last couple to grace the couch, Rochelle and Orson. I'm sure there's a point where Casper, I think after Hannah and Stephen, I'm sure Casper's like, or Kieran was like, oh, I don't know, it can't get any worse than that, can it, surely? Well, well. So Rochelle and Orson take stage. And they're like, right, so talk to us about, last commitment ceremony, what was happening. And Rochelle's like, look, before we even go back there, let me just set the scene again for Ala Honor, right? Let me just set the scene. So, I said last time that I was here that I'd wanted to go the week prior, but we'd agreed that because of my flight and fancy, before that we'd leave at the same time, right? And he knew already that I was ready to get back to work. I mean, this is like the 18th time that she said, look, I've got board meetings, I've got team meetings, I've got water cooler conversations to be having with clients. I ain't got time for this ball-head, man. Anyway, she's like, I want to leave, I want to go back to work, I want to see my daughter's birthday. And then we get here, because I think he's trying to intervene, and she's basically telling him to shut his mouth. She's telling him to shut his mouth, because you don't know nothing about truth. He doesn't know nothing about no truth. Right? So just, but how about you introduce yourself to something named truth, yeah? Because you don't seem to know anything about the truth, do you, Orson? Anyway, and she's like, look, and I wanted to go. And then bless her, she does get emotional, and she's like, on the day of the retreat and stuff, which was actually my daughter's birthday, he's singing and he's dancing, not sparing no thought for the fact that actually, like, I can't be with my daughter on her birthday as I wanted to be, right? But he's singing, and I was just like, you know what? It's at that point, yeah, that I knew that me can't stand that Peter man, me can't stand him, right? And I was like, wow. She hates him. I hate you. I hate you. Like, hates the man. She just look. It's just ridiculous. And then to find out, yeah, that he'd been carrying on with Hannah. There's something been brewing on with Hannah. Yeah, no time for me. Not like I had absolutely no intention of nothing with me. And then he's, I think, trying to pipe in to say, well, it's been dead from a long time. She's like, so what on earth would you want to stay another week with me for? What on earth? You're just so desperate to stay on the show. She's like, I've walked in since the retreat. We've come back, right? Because he's been getting on very well with Hannah on the retreat. And I've come back and I found some double date business going on with Alex and Holly. Well, that's when Mount Vesuvius erupted, yeah, because Alex went from being the, I'm just Tintin with Snowy and I'm having a great time. I mean, everyone's just great. Like, to back to the Balrog. Balrog Alex is back. He's just like, Rochelle, what we talk about double date, we talking about? And Hannah's like, that's not happening at all. And Rochelle's like, just zip it, Hannah. And she's like, don't tell me to shut up, Rochelle. Like, don't tell me to do that. And she's like, look, we were all on separate seats and stuff, which I'm just not, well, what would you be sat on? Like, I didn't quite understand why the separate seats was a way of indicating that you weren't on a double date. Like, when was the last time that you went to brunch with a couple and you were just melted into each other's sofas or sat in each other's lap? Or in a bed. Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't really understand that. But anyway, she's like, yeah, well, it looked very, very cozy. And Alex is like, you're talking effing rubbish. Like, you talk. And he's getting aggy, yeah? Now, don't get me wrong. I quite understand that when someone's lying on your name, yeah, like, you will get passionate about it, because I would be exactly the same. And my face would probably also be like, excuse me? Like, what are you even talking about? But I think because of his size, yeah, I think this is the reason why it comes off as even more aggressive, because his size is so big. But his face and the way he says what he says, though, on top of it, also screams Aggie. Like, I'm about to get Aggie. I'm about to get Aggie. So he's like, Rochelle, don't be saying that, and whatever. So he's going off on one about it, but then Lacey pipes up and she's like, well, hang on a minute. She's like, because because Alex is basically trying to defend the fact that this wasn't a double date thing, and Lacey's like, well, this is rubbish. She's like, and I'm calling BS, yeah, because these guys have been lip sync. Bless Mel. She's like, pardon, pardon, what? Lip sync? And she's like kissing. They've been kissing already, yeah. Orson and Hannah were the ones that kissed on the retreat. Now, someone in my comments did say that it's probably going to turn out to be Hannah and Orson. So I wasn't surprised really by that, because I'm like, well, actually, it probably makes sense. And the fact that they were the last people on the couch as well. So I was like, it's probably going to be them too. And exactly what we thought was going to happen is exactly what happened. People have come for both of them, and it's kind of invalidated whatever kind of moral standpoint that they had, because ultimately within the rules of the game, like there's been infidelity, they've broken the rules, they've had a lack of respect for the marriages that they were in. But I will say, yeah, right, and there's nothing in life if not for a mitigating circumstance. You go to a court case, they will look at that mitigate. I mean, you might still get locked up here, but they will take in and take on board the mitigating circumstances. She's married to what I can only class as like the Sauron of the Married at First Sight crew, because this man has not given her the grace, the time, even the look to even gaze in her direction since the honeymoon, basically. Like, he's been done. So I can understand her just being like, well, if you say you want it, if you say you need, if you say you want it, give it to me, please. Like, I could understand her being fully just like, I'm ready, I'm just done. I felt bad about myself however long. I've had no support system, and there is a spark here with someone that is at least trying to, it's just, we're only human at the end of the day. And I'm not saying that like it's right, but I feel like in that particular instance, there is no marriage. There's no marriage. He came on that sofa to basically say, yeah, well, look, the reason I didn't like talk to her or nothing is because she tried to make me jealous. If that was someone that you cared about, right? Like, yeah, it would probably, like, I don't know. I can't genuinely imagine just being like, I'm gonna paint you out to be like Cruella de Vil's sister because you devised some like some playground trick to try and get me jealous. Like, it's pathetic, but it also shows that actually you still like me, don't you? And if I liked that person, I would have been like, okay. Do you know what I mean? Instead, you use that to kind of drill down into her. She's Scar. She's that bad lion puss that nobody likes. Like, you were looking for a reason to vilify her. Do you know what I mean? That's the person that she was married to. That's the person that would sit around having these little bitchy conversations about her to other people who were also damning her and stuff. Like, he's not a nice person. Like, that's for what has been portrayed here. I don't know him in real life, but from what I've seen here, you weren't my cup of salsa, mate. Like, at all. So I can understand from her perspective of being like, I'm just done. From Orton's perspective, yeah, which again, I don't know if there's going to be anything that comes out about him that paints him out to be an actual actor and that he is there for the the wrong reasons and whatever. But you telling me that if you weren't married to Rochelle, yeah, and having every part of you stripped down to the bare bone marrow, not even the bone marrow, everything gone, that you're not going to be like, well, do you know what? I ain't thinking about you either. Because I think when he wrote Stay, I think he probably thought, let's get to the experts, yeah. Let's see if there's any kind of like support and help that they can provide us, and let's see from there. It's really difficult because there's like 90% of me feels that way, if I'm honest. So if someone said to me, Luke, how do you feel about the Rochelle and Orson situation? 90% of me is like, I feel like he's tried this whole way. She's ripped him down the whole show, pretty much. In this particular week where he's written Stay, I think he did that because he wanted some support from the experts, see where they could go from there, realised quite quickly that like she was very upset about the fact that he had any thoughts that he hadn't shared, and then was like, do you know what, I actually can't do. So I feel like on the retreat is where he was like, I just can't do this no more with you because you are just so hateful of me. But there's a 10% of me that goes, Rochelle just can't be a vindictive person for vindictive people's sake. Do you know what I mean? She's a mum. There are people on the show that like her. So I'm like, is there something that she's picked up on that we just haven't seen because we're only shown a certain amount about him as a person? You know, when she's calling him a liar and stuff, it's like, you're a liar, yeah, you are a liar, a dirty liar, yeah. I'm just like, oh, that kissing of the teeth, that, yo, she kissed her teeth so sweet, so sweet. So I was like, yeah, there's 10% of me that's like, is there something that we're not seeing? You know, to laugh and dance and, you know, like you're in carnival when like she can't go and be with her daughter. That's cold work. That is cold work. And you know, it's difficult when someone's cussing you off on TV like that to show any kind of empathy. Because when he was kind of saying, look, to be honest, Mel, I wasn't really thinking of Rochelle. You know, it's hard to show any kind of compassion then, because like, well, listen to what she listen to how she's talking about me. You know, whilst they're having their debate and their argument, obviously Alex is obviously screwing with Lacey, he's calling her a snake, like, you know, that she's an effing snake, and she's like, who you talking to? She's like, you mate, you're a snake, yeah. And I'm like, well, how is it snaky for to tell the truth? So actually, he probably did know that Orson had kissed Hannah, and rather than like bearing in mind that he said that Rochelle was like his sister, when she could have done with the support and say, well, actually, you know what? I do know that you have been kissing other people in this guy. He didn't really do that. But again, you know, Rochelle doesn't need any support really, because like Rochelle and her mouth, like her 10-man army, like, she read that man to filth, the absolute filth, from his foot back to his head top, everything. Sasha gets really upset, and she's just like, Alex, yeah, you need to just stop, yeah. And he's like, you know, you effing piping up. And he's like, no, you're speaking disrespectfully. You just spoke disrespectfully to Rochelle. You're talking disrespectfully to Lacey. I'm just not having it. It's like there is a way to say things, yeah, which doesn't come across as so. What did she call it? It wasn't aggressive. It was so rude or something. And she's like, you know, you could have said, look, that isn't how it went last night at all. Actually, there was no double date. Instead of going, like, you're effing talking shit, and you're effing talking, I still swore. And she's like, you know, I'm just not having it. Holly is getting vexed with Alex because she's like, it's like, you just need to calm down, right? And he's kind of being a bit angry with her, and then she's like, you need to, don't get angry with me, talking to me like that. And he's like, I'm not talking to you like anybody who's saying that. So now they're in beef. You got Alex and Lacey now, he's now in beef. You've got Alex and Sasha, who's now in beef. Cuts to him in like this VT that's being like, oh, this was meant to be a good day. It's meant to be a good day. It's just like, at the end of the day, I don't even know why Sasha's piping up, because her voice is literally going through me. Yeah, because sometimes someone needs to just tell her to mind her business and to stay out of drama. It's got nothing to do with her, which I thought was okay. This is my theory about Alex, right? When Alex likes you and Alex is in a good mood, Alex is the cuddliest bear in the land. Call him Paddington. Yeah, I saw one big grin on his face when he was on that couch. I was like, you know what? Yeah, look at his face. Like, I'm seeing his mother's son. That's what I'm seeing. Like all that love and stuff that his mum is kind of showing us in the early episodes and stuff. I'm seeing that big grin, soft features. You know what I mean? Like, just gentle and whatever. But you see the switch up in him. Yeah, the minute that he is not happy, or the minute that he thinks something has been like done against him, there is no like gradient to it. Do you know what I mean? It's either I'm happy and it's Chris, or I'm going to flip table because I'm the Black Hulk, literally. Because he even said like, I mean, what are you about to do, bro? Because you see, all of that right there is going to make people feel on edge, and particularly females. Like, that isn't a trait that I think any female would want to be around. And when you're talking to them like they're cuzzy bro, do you know what I mean? Like them, like the man them. I mean, I kind of rate Sasha for standing up and saying that is out of order. There is a way in which to talk to people which doesn't include that. Do you know what I mean? Like, you know, why does she have to be a snake? Because she's airing out what actually happened. You know, if Holly had been doing that and had been kissing someone else, would you not want to know? So I'm just like, I don't understand why you're talking like that to these ladies. And you know, to Sasha's credit, she held her own. Then afterwards, Alex was like, "Oh, Russ, you know, I'll talk to you in a bit." And it's like, so hang on a minute. The disrespect and the argument that you've had is with Sasha. So why are you going to speak to Russ? And it's that there again, which makes me go, I don't know whether you've got like I don't want to call it misogynistic, because that word gets thrown around a lot, yeah. But there is something very old ye Saxon, I will buy your maiden for 3 cows and 3 cows and 2 tuppence, that says, well, you're gonna go and speak to the husband about the beef as opposed to speaking to her directly. She's a big woman. She's not a pitney. Why are you going to speak to her, man? And then what made it even worse, Russ hasn't even really backed it, to be honest. You know, because that had been me, and I'd seen that someone had been disrespecting my partner like that. I'm sorry, like, but the first thing I want to hear out your mouth is an apology, because, you know, you need to be in a position where someone, when you're acting in that kind of way, can actually call you out, not in a poly way, when like no one didn't send you for nothing, poly, no one didn't send you for nothing, and actually that person wasn't acting in that way when you spoke to them, but you're actively on people right now, yeah. And granted, it might be that you don't think it's true, but you didn't need to speak to them like that either. So her calling you out on that didn't warrant the response that she got. And then for Ross to kind of just be like, well, I don't get involved in beef. When her dad came up here and you were doing weights with him in the gym, in the prescribed scenario that was absolutely mandatory that we saw you in, like, you were very much like, yo, I'm going to take care of her. It's my job to look after her. You got some dude that's barking in her face, and you're just like, it has nothing to do with me. I don't deal with drama. I can't be the only person that didn't have that on their bingo card for this season. Didn't you just say you want to spend the rest of your life with this person, and yet you got someone screaming up in her face, and you can't be like, fam, I didn't appreciate that. You know, if you've got something you want to say, there is a way in which to do that. That's disrespectful. Now, if you're telling me that's just who you are and that's just how you are, that's absolutely fine. But hear what we're gonna do. Yeah, there is no further contact between you and me, or me and my wife, because if you can't respect that, there's a boundary there from a person to person that you don't cross. We're not doing this. We're not doing that, because you're not going to be in a position again when you're talking to her like that. It's as simple as that, you know. And this is not about like having to come to blows or anything like that. It's just a respect thing. I don't think Alex would want someone talking to his people. Imagine that was like your auntie, your mum, and someone telling you about your effing this thing and bit. Fam, that's not okay. Like, but Russ, you let me down, bruh. You let me down, man. You let me down. So I don't even know what's gonna happen now, because the next episode is they've got a task. It's love and hate. So what do you love about me? What do you hate about me? And it looks as though Emma and Casper are doing the task pretty well. It looks like Ryan and Shannon are doing the task pretty well. I don't know if we saw a shot of Luke and Amy. Polly and Adam are doing quite well. They look pretty giddy about it, actually. Well, she definitely does. Then it cuts to Sasha and Ross, and like, that's crisis, bro. There's crisis there. You know, apparently he came home and took off his ring and dashed it up the wall, and like, he's come back and she's like, I don't think I feel comfortable with you in the apartment right now. And to be honest, it's going to take me a lot to come back from this. Because imagine, no beef, you've had no arguments, and you're not about the drama with other people on road, but yet you can come into the house and start dashing up rings up wall and that. So you can do drama when you want to. Yeah, to me, Sasha has been like, and I do love Ross as well, I have done, but Sasha has been the most unproblematic person there, really. And to think there was something that needed her husband to kind of back and support, and he didn't do anything, and if this is the result of that, yeah, he's definitely gone down in my estimations, 100%. Anyway, let me start talking, and let's see what happens tomorrow. But yeah, I'd love to know what you guys thought of this. If you did enjoy this, do drop me a like and subscribe. That'd be amazing. Thank you very much. But for now, thank you for watching, and I hope to see you on the next one.